Hi guys, welcome back. So today I thought we would do our special entertainment show. So when I was doing all of those map tour videos, I talked about special entertainment that really should have its own video. So this is it. So I thought it would make sense to start in Magic Kingdom. So Magic Kingdom has two pieces of special entertainment that are available year round. So right now, because it is Christmas time, there are special seasonal offerings. So pretty soon, the normal Festival Fantasy Parade isn't going to be offered. And right now, Happily Ever After is not being shown, and instead they are showing the Holiday Wishes fireworks show. And so I'm going to be talking about these shows that are going to be going on during the normal parts of the year because this is a very rare thing. It's only during the month of December for Christmas. They don't do this for any other time of the year, with the one exception being on Easter Day. They do have a special add-on to to Festival Fantasy Parade that is Easter themed, but it's really only an add-on, and it doesn't change the direction or anything else for the parade. So, we're going to talk first about the parade. So, the Festival of Fantasy Parade. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the special show, which is what you'll find if you look it up on the Disney website. And what's nice about this is you can put in a different date. So, we choose the 4th, and it's going to tell us that it's going to be at 2 o'clock that day. So, you can go and use this website to check times if you need to, so that you are confident when you are planning your vacation that you know when the parade is. So one of the random things is that although it's the Festival Fantasy Parade and most of it is focused on the Fantasyland IPs, so things like Tangled and Brave and Peter Pan and Mickey and Minnie and all of that kind of stuff, it doesn't actually go through the Fantasyland section of the park. It goes through this general area and then it comes up and it goes down Main Street. And this is really my favorite area to watch the parade. So this is what we're going to be focusing on. So in my opinion, I like watching it on Main Street because it's a nice ambiance, it's a nice area to just enjoy, and also if you're sitting here waiting for the parade, you've got a lot of stuff around you. If you get hot and you need a drink or you want ice cream or whatever, everything is right here, very convenient for you. And then it's just my preferred place to watch the parade. There's really no bad place to watch the parade because it's not like anything's going to obstruct your view as long as you're not standing behind a tree. So, my preferred place to sit is right on this side, either side. But my biggest tip is that you want to be right on this edge. You want to have your feet going off the curb onto the ground. And the reason for this is that on multiple occasions for many different parades, I have had, and nighttime shows in general, there are unfortunately people who show up at the absolute last minute and they will try to wiggle their kids in and push them up front and push them in front of you. And that's really frustrating when you've been sitting somewhere waiting for an hour and now somebody who just showed up is trying to push their kids in front of you and block your view. And so if you're sitting right on the curb, and this is in general, if there is a barrier, you want to be as close to that barrier as you can be because you're less likely to have people pushing in front of you and to have people obstructing your view. So that means sitting right on the curb because they don't let people sit on the street. You have to be sitting on this curb. So that is my main suggestion. Another random piece of advice is that if you can, bring a reusable shopping bag with you per person, and then you can fold them up nice and tiny, And then when you go to sit down to wait for the parade, put it down underneath you. It'll create this nice barrier between you and the ground. And this is good for two reasons. First of all, if it's hot, it'll keep your butt a little bit cooler because you're sitting on a piece of plastic instead of right on the concrete. And even better, if it's rained recently and the concrete is wet, it's going to prevent your butt from getting wet. So that's one of my like best pieces of advice, and it's also nice because it means that you put down one for every person, and that gives you a certain amount of space. And so people are going to see those and then they're going to move on because they know that that's a saved seat. And so that was one of the things I learned pretty early on for these trips is that just packing a reusable bag, you can get them at the dollar store. I found ones that were red with white polka dots that were perfect. That was a really big lifesaver, and it was really helpful to have for times like this. The other thing to know is that if it does rain, they will not do the full Festival of Fantasy parade. It normally, I think it has to be a chance of lightning. They will announce it pretty much right before the event is about to start, so that's too bad. They'll send out a little parade, so you'll see a little something, but they won't run the full parade. And so my other piece of advice about this is that if you are planning on doing 2 days in Magic Kingdom, which I highly recommend if you can have the time to do so, you want to plan to do the parade on the first day because that way if something happens and there's rain or something else, you can always go back and see it on the second day. I made this mistake my first trip. We planned on doing the parade the second day. We got there, we sat down, we were all ready to go, and it started and it was going to rain and they canceled the parade and we had been sitting for like 45 minutes waiting for the parade. So that was really disappointing and upsetting, and so I really recommend planning to do this on your first day at Magic Kingdom. So, in terms of when you need to get here, in my experience, it's depending on the crowd of the park, it's anywhere from a half an hour to an hour before the parade starts. Normally, all of the sidewalk doesn't, all of the curb spots don't get filled up until then. So, it also kind of depends on your party size. If you're two people, you may be able to get a spot pretty early. Or pretty close to the parade. But if you've got a bigger group, you're going to want to get here earlier. So that is the Festival of Fantasy Parade. So the next thing we're going to go over is Happily Ever After. So Happily Ever After is the current fireworks show at Magic Kingdom. And as you can see, just like Festival of Fantasy, they all have a nice thing here and they're going to tell you when it is. So as you can see, I jumped to the 10th because they're not running this fireworks show right now. And it says that it's going to be running at 8 o'clock. During the summer, it's going to be running later because obviously it gets dark later. So I cannot say enough good things about Happily Ever After. It was an incredible show. I literally cried at the end of it the first time I saw it. It was so powerful. It was so moving. It was just a really great experience. So in terms of watching the fireworks, you really want to be pretty close to the castle. I would suggest being from probably right where this says Main Street forward. You don't want to be much farther back or else you're not going to see the projections on the castle. And that is too bad, is that one of the things with Happily Ever After and the projections that they do on the castle, you really need to be very close to see it. So in terms of a good spot, you don't want to be right here. You don't want to be this close. You will see people who will crowd here. But you're going to be so close, the castle's going to obstruct some of the bigger fireworks for you. Really, the best area is going to be right around the Mickey statue, right in this spot. This is going to be your sweet spot, especially if you can get an area right in here. We watched it right here, and it was wonderful because, again, you have a fence and you have greenery, and so people aren't going to be standing in front of you until they're way up here. And so they're not going to be blocking your view. You're going to have a straight shot to the castle, and you're going to see the projections very well, and you're going to see the fireworks very well. Obviously, if you have a tree in front of you, you want to move. You want to make sure you have as little obstruction of a view of the castle. So you want to have as clear a view of that castle as humanly possible. Now, they built, when they redid the hubs, these two areas right here that were originally fast pass fireworks viewing areas, but that has changed in the last few years. This area right here is open for anyone to come in and take a spot and sit down. And then this is actually reserved for the dessert parties. So the dessert parties is something you're going to see across the board, and they are things where you go and you can have free desserts, and with the exception of the one at Magic Kingdom, they'll offer you a glass of champagne and they'll have other beverages for you. And you have some snacks and some treats, and then you get a special viewing area for the fireworks. And then you pay extra for it. And normally they run anywhere between, I think the one for Fantasmic is maybe 60 or 70 up to $100 or so a person. So the fireworks have two premium for Magic Kingdom. They have two viewing areas. Some people are going to be here, and then some people are going to actually be right in this area. And this is actually where the desserts are offered. And then for the people who have the garden view fireworks party, they go here, and then everybody else stays here. For this fireworks show, it's actually better to be here because you have a better view of the castle. You do not have a guaranteed place to sit. They will not make you stand. They will actually go through the rest of the fireworks area, and they will tell everybody to stand and move closer up and kind of scrunch in so that they can get more people in. And they won't do that in this area. But if you've got people in front of you standing, they're going to be blocking your view. So we did do the fireworks party here, and it was nice, but it is a lot of money. So it's not something that I necessarily recommend. But it is nice if you want to have the splurge and not want to worry. For the fireworks, again, I'm saying 45 minutes to an hour. Normally by this point you're not running around to rides, so this would be a good time to go do some shopping on Main Street and kind of keep an eye on when people are starting to stake out spots for the fireworks. And then from there, once you see people starting to accumulate, that's when I would recommend going and grabbing your spot. Ideally right here or here. I really loved watching the fireworks right here. So next we are going to move on to Epcot. Epcot only has one special show, and with the exception of a bit of a tag at the end for the holidays, it doesn't change for the holiday season. So this is Illuminations, and I'm just going to pull it up here to show you the picture, show you the website, and again show you the time. So today it's going to be at 9:30 at night. So for Illuminations, it's on World Showcase Lagoon. So technically you can watch it anywhere within here. There are a few caveats. There's going to be places that are going to look like wonderful spots to watch Illuminations that are going to be reserved. So this area right here is oftentimes reserved for special VIP experiences and that sort of thing. A lot of times this area down here in the UK is reserved. And then on top of it, there's a whole area in this general area and in here that are for dessert parties again, and also for fast passes. So you can get a fast pass for Illuminations, and that will guarantee you an area for the fireworks. The only issue with this is that it does mean that you can't get a fast pass for Frozen Ever After or Soarin' or Test Track because of the way that Epcot's fast pass system works. So, and you also have to show up decently early to get a decent spot. So my favorite place to watch it actually is right in this area. So this is the bridge between France and the UK, And this is actually a bridge. It looks like it's a walkway, but it is a raised bridge. And so I like to get a spot right here on the bridge, and you you get a spot fairly early, probably about a half an hour before illumination starts, and there's nobody really in this area yet. But you don't have really anything blocking your view. And it's a nice area to be, and again, because it's a bridge, you go right up against that grate, and you're not going to have anyone obstructing your view. So, other popular places are going to be like in Japan, the restaurant that's on the second floor, if you get a window table, that's got some beautiful views. Um, if you go over to Mexico, they've got a restaurant right on the water, that's got amazing views. Obviously, anywhere around here that doesn't have trees that isn't reserved for fast pass or dessert parties, those are all great options. Really, you just want to be able to see the center area without any obstruction. So again, avoid areas with trees, and not just in terms of don't stand right behind a tree, but also don't stand in an area with a lot of trees around you, because you will be looking up. And so if you are looking up and there's trees blocking your view, you're not going to have as good of a view of the show. So those are my general recommendations for Illuminations. It is going away in a few years, so we will see if it changes for the new show, if there's new places that are better to watch, or what'll be the new hot spot to get for the fireworks, or if they change the viewing area style in general. So that is Illuminations. We're going to go over now to Hollywood Studios, which has two nighttime spectaculars that are year round. Right now, they do have a showcase called Jingle Bell Jingle Bam, which is a holiday show. So there are two nighttime shows at Hollywood Studios. There is a Star Wars A Galactic Spectacular, which is a fireworks show that has Star Wars music and influences, and that takes place right behind here, behind the Chinese theater. So you're going to want to be in this general area. There is, of course, a dessert party with a area roped off for special viewing, and you're just going to want to make sure that you're in the general area. You can see the Chinese theater well, and that you're not going to have a blocked view from any trees. So I'll go pop over, show you what it shows here, and as you can see, they do a fair amount of projections onto the Chinese theater, so you want to make sure you can see that well. And then, of course, you can go choose your day, and it's going to tell you the best time to go. So, so that is the Star Wars fireworks show. It's a recent edition. I haven't actually seen it, but it is very popular because of the popularity of Star Wars. The more classic nighttime attraction for Hollywood Studios is going to be Fantasmic. Now, they plan these where they are half an hour apart. So on a night when the fireworks are at 8:30, Fantasmic's at 8. And that's going to make it pretty much impossible to see both of them. So you do have to choose which you want to see. So for Fantasmic, it's a bit of a different situation than the other shows because it does have theater seating. So you're going to have special areas for the dessert party, and then you're going to also have an area for Fast Pass, so similar to Illuminations. And then the other thing is a dining option. So if you have a meal at certain restaurants at Hollywood Studios, then you can have a premium viewing spot for Fantasmic. Important thing to note here, though, is that you have to do the price fix menu that includes an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. And so that's going to be, $80 a person. oftentimes, so you are paying a bit of a premium compared to if you were somebody who shares an appetizer or shares a dessert or doesn't do one or the other. So you are going to be paying more to do that dining experience to get the viewing area. So the one nice thing though is that with the, I wouldn't want to be right here on the edges, but for the most part, there's not a bad view for Phantasmic because it's such a wide area. My memory is we showed up, um, we just showed up for the show and we were right in here. We got a very good spot. Um, and I think we got in line maybe 20 minutes, half an hour before the show started. And then they'll file people in and they'll tell you what section to sit in, but I don't remember having a problem in terms of what our viewing area was. And we didn't do a ton of planning for this one. So that is kind of nice that you can just show up and enjoy the show. It's a really great show. There's water elements to it. There's a storyline to it, and there's a lot of characters in it. So it's a really fun one to see. This is actually my husband's favorite nighttime show, is Phantasmic. So we had a lot of fun with that one, and that is where it's located. And you can see there's a long pathway, and this is just to funnel guests into the amphitheater. There is talk about it getting a makeover. The location at Disneyland got a new version within the last year or so. I think it opened. And so there is people wondering if we are going to be getting that new show. And although I haven't heard any confirmation about that yet, it certainly wouldn't surprise me to hear that that was happening in the next few years. So finally, we have over at Animal Kingdom. This is a new show. This has only been going on for about a year and a half. It opened right around when Avatar did. And this is called Rivers of Light. And so this is located right in this area, and you can see the seating area right here. And so just like everything else, you can get a fast pass for it. You can do a dessert party. There is a option, just like for Phantasmic, of doing a meal at a certain restaurant and then getting a pass for the show. And this is the website for it and the concept art and everything. And then the times. You can see it's a bit earlier of a show compared to the other ones. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the park is still transitioning into being open the full day as opposed to closing pretty early, which it used to do. So, this is another one where because it's got stadium seating like Phantasmic, you're not going to really have a horrible view of from any spot. It's a very pretty show from my understanding. I actually haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. But my understanding is that it's a bit more fitting for somewhere like Broadway or an art museum or that kind of thing than a Disney park. There aren't any characters. It's a very beautiful show, but it wouldn't be my top priority, especially if you have kids. There's a very good chance that with kids they would get bored from the show. So that is the last nighttime spectacular that is being offered at this point. So, like I said, if things change and new shows come in or out, I will do special videos for that. So thank you guys so much for coming today, for watching the video and everything. I really appreciate it. So I'm wishing you all a magical day, and I will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.